Welcome to Dust War, July 23, 1944. Salo, Normandy, France. The machine gun nest had fallen silent 3 hours ago when the 2nd Infantry Division overran the German position. Technical Sergeant William Harrison, a 24-year-old armorer from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, approached the abandoned emplacement with the careful professionalism of a man who understood his craft. The bodies had been cleared, the position secured. Now Harrison came to examine the weapon that had claimed 11 American lives that morning before a tank destroyer's 76mm shell rendered it forever silent. The MG42 lay partially buried beneath sandbags, its distinctive barrel shroud unmistakable even through the dust and debris. Harrison had heard the stories from soldiers who'd survived the weapon. They called it Hitler's buzzsaw for the sound it produced. Some called it the Ripper. Others simply called it that goddamn German gun. The reputation was formidable, 1,200 rounds per minute, a sound so distinctive that veteran soldiers could identify it instantly and knew to seek cover immediately. Harrison carefully cleared the sandbags, searching methodically for booby traps before lifting the weapon. It was heavier than the American Browning .30 caliber, roughly 25 pounds with the bipod, yet its construction suggested purposeful simplicity. The barrel could be changed rapidly. On the right side, he noticed an elegantly simple locking mechanism. Smart engineering for a weapon that would overheat quickly at such extreme cyclic rates. He found 3 ammunition belts nearby, each containing 50 rounds of 7.92mm Mauser. The weapon was clean, properly oiled, undeniably functional. As an armorer, Harrison possessed knowledge most soldiers never acquired. He could field strip any American weapon blindfolded. He understood the mechanical principles governing recoil operation, gas operation, and blowback systems. He knew that extremely high rates of fire meant correspondingly high recoil forces. The .30 caliber Browning fired between 450 and 600 rounds per minute and produced substantial recoil even on its tripod mount. This German weapon fired twice that rate. Theoretically, the recoil should be punishing, perhaps utterly uncontrollable. 20 minutes later, Harrison had verified the weapon's functionality and loaded a fresh belt. Captain Robert Mitchell, his company commander, had authorized the test firing. Military intelligence wanted confirmation that captured German weapons could effectively serve American forces. Harrison settled behind the gun, adjusted the bipod legs, and sighted on a destroyed German half-track 200 yards distant. He pressed the trigger. The gun erupted with a sound unlike anything in Harrison's experience. Not the rhythmic hammering of a Browning, but a continuous, almost musical tearing, like heavy canvas being ripped at incredible speed. The barrel shroud blurred. Spent casings erupted in a golden torrent. The half-track's remaining panels disintegrated under the impact of dozens of rounds delivered in less than 2 seconds. Then Harrison did something that would be reported up the chain of command, discussed in after-action reports, and eventually influence American weapons development for decades. He laughed. Not from joy or excitement, but from pure astonishment. The weapon that should have kicked like a mule, that should have climbed off target, that should have brutalized anyone firing it, had recoil comparable to a Browning automatic rifle. Less, actually. The bipod barely shifted. His shoulder absorbed the force effortlessly. The weapon remained on target throughout the burst. The high cyclic rate, which should have rendered the gun uncontrollable, had instead created smoothness. Individual recoil impulses blended into a sustained, manageable pressure. Captain Mitchell, observing from behind, watched Harrison's shoulders shake with laughter as he released the trigger. "What's funny, Sergeant?" he called out. "Sir," Harrison replied, turning with an expression mixing amazement and frustration. "The Germans built a machine gun that fires twice as fast as ours and has half the recoil. We've been doing this wrong for 20 years. That moment of recognition, one armorer understanding the implications of superior engineering, initiated a process that would transform American infantry weapons development. The MG42 story begins with its predecessor, the MG34. When Hitler came to power in 1933, Germany's military labored under Versailles Treaty restrictions. The MG34, adopted in 1934, was revolutionary, yet possessed a critical flaw: it was too refined. The weapon was machined to watchmaker precision, requiring skilled machinists and 150 hours of labor per unit. As Germany prepared for inevitable conflict, military planners recognized they couldn't produce sufficient quantities before war erupted. The solution emerged from Dr. Heinrich Vollmer of Mauser-Werke. Their assignment was deceptively simple yet practically impossible. Create a machine gun matching the MG42's capabilities while enabling mass production by semi-skilled workers using stamping and welding instead of precision machining. Vollmer's revolutionary thinking produced a paradigm shift. Instead of machining parts to close tolerances, design components with sufficient clearance that precision becomes unnecessary. Instead of complicated mechanisms, create simple mechanisms anyone could assemble. Instead of resisting the high recoil forces of rapid fire, harness those forces to operate the weapon more efficiently. The result was the MG42, adopted in 1942. The weapon employed stamping for the receiver rather than machining. The bolt mechanism was redesigned as a rotating bolt, simpler and faster. The recoil system utilized roller-delayed blowback action that was self-regulating and remarkably smooth. Most impressively, production time dropped to 75 hours. Cost fell to 60 Reichsmarks. A weapon superior to its predecessor cost 60% less and required half the production time. The first MG42s reached frontline units in late 1942 on the Eastern Front. Soviet forces encountered them during Stalingrad fighting. Initial reports from Red Army units described an unprecedented new German weapon of devastating lethality. One properly positioned weapon could dominate an entire sector. The extreme rate of fire meant soldiers caught in the open were invariably killed. Soviet infantry tactics, relying on mass assaults, became suicidal against positions defended by MG42 teams. American forces first encountered the weapon in North Africa during 1943. German Afrika Korps units demonstrated its effectiveness during the Kasserine Pass battle in February. American forces experiencing their first major combat against veteran German troops suffered devastating casualties. Lieutenant Colonel John Waters reported on February 20, 1943, "Enemy machine gun fire demonstrates rate and volume exceeding any weapon in American inventory. Single weapons appear capable of covering frontage requiring 3 of our .30 caliber weapons. Recommend immediate study of captured examples." That study commenced in March 1943 when intact MG42s were captured during the final Tunisia campaign. The weapons were shipped to Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland for comprehensive evaluation. The testing team, led by Colonel René Studler, conducted exhaustive analysis. Their findings were remarkable. The German MG42 demonstrates mechanical and tactical superiority to American machine guns in the following areas. Rate of fire, 1,200 rounds per minute versus 450 rounds per minute for the .30 caliber Browning. Barrel change time, 6 seconds versus 6 minutes for the Browning. Weight, 25 pounds versus 31 pounds for the Browning with tripod. Reliability under adverse conditions, superior due to loose tolerances and simple mechanism construction. The report continued with technical analysis of the recoil system. The MG42 achieves reduced felt recoil through a combination of mechanical advantage and high cyclic rate. The roller-delayed blowback action spreads recoil impulse over an extended time period. High rate of fire creates numerous small impulses rather than fewer large ones, resulting in smoother operation. The weapon's design philosophy represents significant advancement over American recoil-operated systems. By mid-1943, every major American combat unit had encountered the MG42. The weapon's distinctive sound became one of the most psychologically devastating aspects of combat. Private First Class Harold Baumgarten, who landed on Omaha Beach on D-Day, described his experience. "The sound was unlike anything we trained for, not the slow hammering of machine guns in training films, but a continuous roar like an airplane engine. You didn't hear individual shots, just this sustained tearing sound, and you saw men simply come apart. The bullets arrived in such density that if any part of your body was exposed, you'd be hit multiple times instantly. The tactical advantages extended far beyond rate of fire. The quick-change barrel was revolutionary. German doctrine required barrel changes every 250 rounds. With practice, a trained crew could change barrels in less than 10 seconds. The Browning .30 caliber required complete weapon disassembly for barrel changes, minimum 6 minutes. American machine gunners typically fired until barrels failed. Then the weapon was deadlined for depot-level repair. During the Anzio beachhead fighting from January through May 1944, German defenders demonstrated this capability with devastating effect. In one documented engagement, a single German machine gun position fired over 6,000 rounds in a 4-hour period. The gun never stopped. The crew rotated through barrels, keeping one or two cooling while firing with another. American units attempting advances across open ground were shredded. That single MG42 position inflicted over 100 casualties and halted an entire battalion's advance. By late 1944, American forces had captured hundreds of MG42s. Some units began using them unofficially. Despite policies discouraging enemy weapons use, MG42s appeared throughout American units. Rangers employed them frequently. Airborne forces found captured German weapons eminently practical. Even regular infantry units occasionally mounted captured MG42s on vehicles or used them for base defense. The comparison to American machine guns was stark. The .30 caliber Browning M1917A1 fired 450 to 600 rounds per minute, less than half the MG42's rate. It weighed 41 pounds with tripod versus 25 pounds for the MG42 on bipod. It required a minimum crew of 3 versus 2 for the German weapon. It was water-cooled, requiring water supplies and adding weight. The MG42 was air-cooled, simpler, and lighter. The Browning automatic rifle, the BAR, was the standard American squad automatic weapon. It held only 20 rounds versus belt-fed capability of the MG42. It fired 550 rounds per minute, less than half the German rate. Most critically, the BAR couldn't sustain fire. After 2 or 3 magazines, the barrel overheated. The weapon had no quick-change barrel capability. The engineering that enabled the MG42's superiority centered on its recoil system. The roller-delayed blowback action was brilliantly elegant. When the weapon fired, recoil pressure pushed the bolt head backward. Rollers positioned in the bolt head were forced outward against angled receiver surfaces. This outward movement created mechanical disadvantage, delaying bolt opening. The delay was precisely calculated, lasting long enough for chamber pressure to drop to safe levels. The result was a self-regulating, remarkably smooth recoil system. As the bolt moved backward, rollers rolled along the receiver surface, providing continuous resistance rather than the abrupt stop-and-go of other designs. This spreading of recoil force over time and distance dramatically reduced peak forces. When Harrison fired the MG42 and felt that smooth, sustained push instead of sharp impacts, he was experiencing years of German engineering refinement. The high cyclic rate actually enhanced recoil management by converting discrete impulses into continuous pressure. During the Battle of the Bulge from December 1944 through January 1945, this reliability difference became critical. Temperatures dropped below 0 Fahrenheit. American weapons experienced increased stoppages from freezing lubricants. The MG42, with its loose tolerances, continued functioning. Private Robert Williams, 1st Infantry Division, survived the Bulge fighting and recalled, "Our bars were freezing up constantly. The .30 calories weren't much better. Meanwhile, the Germans kept firing non-stop. You'd hear that buzzsaw sound and know you couldn't return effective fire. It was terrifying being outgunned because their weapons worked better in those conditions." German tactical doctrine maximized the psychological effect. Machine gunners were trained to fire in long bursts of 6 to 8 seconds, maintaining the sustained roar that demoralized enemies. They were trained to traverse fire slowly across target areas. They were trained to target officers and NCOs, systematically decapitating American leadership. Studies of American casualties revealed disproportionate losses among junior officers and senior NCOs. American tactical doctrine evolved to counter the MG42 threat. Infantry training emphasized immediate reactions to machine gun fire. Hit the ground instantly, identify the gun position, call for supporting fire, flank the position under covering fire, never attempt frontal assault. These tactics worked but demanded discipline and acceptance of casualties. Green units often panicked. Even experienced units suffered heavy casualties suppressing MG42 positions. Technical Sergeant Harrison, following his July 1944 test firing, became an unofficial MG42 expert. He was frequently called to examine captured examples and train soldiers in their operation. His detailed analysis, written in August 1944 and forwarded to the Ordnance Department, provided clear explanation of the German weapon's superiority. The MG42 represents comprehensive rethinking of machine gun design philosophy. American weapons prioritize accuracy and mechanical precision. The German weapon prioritizes practical effectiveness and battlefield utility. The difference is fundamental and decisive. Harrison's report reached the Ordnance Department but changed nothing immediately. Weapons development requires years. American forces would finish the war with their existing weapons. The accumulation of combat experiences eventually drove official Army interest in developing an American equivalent. In November 1944, the Ordnance Department initiated the light rifle program, seeking new infantry weapons incorporating lessons learned in combat. The MG42 was specifically cited as inspiration. Germany manufactured approximately 750,000 MG42s between 1942 and 1945. This from a nation under strategic bombing with collapsing infrastructure facing severe raw material shortages. The weapon's design for mass production meant it could be built even as Germany's industrial capacity was devastated. Small workshops using stamping equipment could produce components. The result was a weapon that flooded German forces even as other equipment became scarce. The post-war disposition of captured MG42s revealed Allied recognition of their value. The U.S. Army retained several thousand for testing and training. The French Army adopted captured MG42s as their standard machine gun, using them into the 1950s. Czechoslovakia continued manufacturing nearly identical copies. Yugoslavia manufactured copies into the 1960s. Switzerland adopted the design, licensing it as the MG51. The influence on American weapons development was profound. The light rifle program eventually produced the M60 machine gun, adopted in 1957. The M60 incorporated numerous features directly inspired by the MG42. It was a general-purpose machine gun usable in light or medium roles. It featured a quick-change barrel. It was belt-fed. It had a cyclic rate of 550 rounds per minute, higher than the old Browning. It weighed 23 pounds, comparable to the German weapon. The M240 machine gun, adopted in the 1970s to replace the M60, went even further. Its barrel change system was nearly identical to the German design. The weapon's overall philosophy, emphasizing reliability and sustained fire over precision, came directly from studying the MG42. Modern American machine guns are spiritual descendants of the MG42, despite using different operating systems. Technical specifications that seemed impossible to American observers in 1944 became standard expectations by the 1960s. Cyclic rates of 1,000 rounds per minute or higher became common. Barrel changes under 30 seconds became required. Reliability under adverse conditions became expected. The MG42 had set the standard against which all future machine guns would be measured. The cultural impact extended beyond technical specifications. Veterans who experienced it never forgot the sound. The weapon became symbolic of German military effectiveness, an example of how superior engineering could offset numerical disadvantage. Post-war analysis consistently cited the MG42 as critical to German defensive effectiveness. A properly positioned machine gun team could hold frontage requiring an entire platoon armed with American weapons. The German concept of building the infantry squad around the machine gun was adopted by most armies worldwide. American doctrine, which had previously treated the bar as support, shifted to emphasizing the M60 as the primary weapon. Modern infantry tactics worldwide reflect this German innovation. The machine gun is the primary weapon. Riflemen protect the machine gunner. The squad's movement is determined by machine gun considerations. This doctrine came directly from studying German tactics and the MG42's battlefield effectiveness. The engineering principles influenced designs far beyond machine guns. The roller-delayed blowback action was adopted for the Spanish CETME rifle and the German G3 rifle. The emphasis on stamped construction influenced rifle design worldwide. The Soviet AK-47 employed extensive stamping and prioritized reliability over precision, principles first demonstrated by the MG42. Historian Max Hastings wrote about the MG42's impact. The German machine gun was probably the best infantry weapon of the war. Its rate of fire and reliability gave German defensive positions effectiveness far beyond their numerical strength. American soldiers who captured them frequently preferred them to their own weapons, the ultimate testimony to superior design. German General Friedrich von Mellenthin described the weapon's tactical significance. The MG42 was the backbone of German defensive tactics. Properly positioned and supplied with ammunition, a single gun could stop battalion-sized attacks. American General Omar Bradley acknowledged the weapon's effectiveness. The German machine gun, with its extremely high rate of fire, was a formidable weapon. Our soldiers faced it with courage, but I always wished we had something comparable. The captured MG42s, used unofficially by American soldiers, became war trophies after Germany's surrender. Many survive today in museums and private collections, remaining tangible proof of German engineering excellence and American soldiers' recognition of that excellence. The weapon that Technical Sergeant Harrison laughed about on that July day in 1944 became the template for all modern machine guns. Its influence shapes weapons development 75 years later. Harrison's laughter was recognition of a profound truth. America had built weapons to meet specifications and regulations. Germany had built a weapon to kill efficiently. The difference was decisive and obvious to anyone who fired both. His report, forwarded up the chain of command, was one of thousands making similar arguments. Together, they eventually changed American military thinking about small arms. But that change came too late for World War II. American soldiers finished the war with weapons inferior to their enemy's machine gun. The story of the MG42 is ultimately about innovation, engineering excellence, and the gap between theoretical specifications and practical effectiveness. German engineers created a weapon better than anyone anticipated. American soldiers encountering that weapon in combat immediately recognized its superiority. That recognition, multiplied across hundreds of thousands of combat experiences, eventually transformed American weapons development. The high cyclic rate that should have created unmanageable recoil created smoothness instead. The simple mechanism that should have been unreliable proved extraordinarily reliable. The cheap stamped construction that should have produced inferior weapons produced superior ones.